Good morning, yogis. Welcome to practice. We are getting ready for some vinyasa, and I am so excited to get some movement going in the body today. So let's enter into our sacred yoga studio space, which is a mental state and also an environment. Do the best that you can. Some of us are working in small quarters, so maybe you can enhance your experience with some aromatherapy. A candle, incense, essential oils are some of the things that can get your yoga on. Or if you like to burn sage or Palo Santo, now's a good time. And as you get your ambiance ready, I will introduce you to our theme for practice, our intention for our asana. You'll come into a crisscross pose when you're ready to reflect, Sukhasana. And many of you are well versed with having a best friend that even if you don't see them for long periods of time, it feels like no time has passed at all when you see them. And we are going to be so excited to see our loved ones when we're able to make contact with those that are far, far away. And 2 years can go by, 10 years can go by. You just naturally fall into a rhythm of talking the same way you always did, remembering things that you thought would have been forgotten, or memories that you can only really share with someone who has been there. You can reminisce with others and with friends, but there's something about that very best friend. So I'm sure someone came to mind, or a few. So first, send them a little love beam because we're thinking about them. And then also remember that your yoga practice is like a long lost friend that is like no time has ever passed. Yes, your physical body might not be in the same shape if you are leading with the ego and saying, well, I used to be able to do the splits and now I can't. None of that. That's not what I'm talking about. That yoga feels like a familiar place. Once you get the ball rolling, even if you take a month off, you take 6 months off, or you took a week off and you're giving yourself a hard time about it, yoga is something that is always going to be there and love you infinitely, right? It's an ever-giving relationship of love. So we hop back on board to yoga whenever we need it, and there's this little seam that will lead you through your life of when you practiced yoga during a chapter in your life when you lived in the city, and then a chapter of your life where you practiced yoga at home videos, and then a favorite teacher that you had at a favorite studio from many moons ago. And when you practice yoga, all those little memories start to come back, and all of that movement, all of that love is still encased in our physical body and in a mental state. So hop back onto the bandwagon when you are able to, and don't give yourself a hard time when your life leads you to things other than yoga on the yoga mat. So Sukhasana, reflect on that infinite, ever-giving love of your best friend, your yoga. Relax the shoulders, lean back. Inhale, lift the shoulders up to the ears, shrug and lift. As you exhale, shoulders drop. Ujjayi pranayama, in and out through the nose, if you are able to for the rest of practice today. Tighten the navel, switch out your feet, opposite hips, getting a little stretch. It's subtle, but it's important. Hands lift up to the forehead, take an inhale. Bow to your practice, you'll breathe out. Stay in this gentle fold and lightly crawl yourself to the left, to the right, and keep those cheeks on the floor. Try not to lift your backside off of the mat. We ease ourselves in slow to our practice, not because we have to, but because we are being sustainable with our energy and our breath so that we can keep it up for a full hour. consistent, sustainable, slow to start. If at any time you need to unwind and slow it down, you are free to take a child's pose. But I will meet you in a tabletop, so come onto your hands and knees. And any wrist modifications in the house, forearms, you can come on down. You can also arrive onto your fists. You'll have your thumbs pointing forward. Off we go. Really tight belly. Take a breath in. Open mouth, exhale. Once more. And exhale. Round the spine, cat pose. Press into the hands, look at the navel. Hold this pose a bit longer. Your toes are untucked here. So press into the tops of your feet, not just the knees. Use your fingertips, use your pinkies. Hinge forward and back in your cat pose. Off we go. Breath out, drop the belly, cow pose, because your udders are to the floor. Okay, and let's stretch the belly for a bit. Any free form movement is welcome. See what you can do. You lightly wag your hips side to side, and when you're ready to find stillness, we're going to have the toes tucked. I find that rocking the hips side to side on the toes doesn't feel very good, so press the toes into the floor. If you find that your belly is pretty tight, you probably have some stress hanging out in the belly. Be proud that you've noticed. It's time to stretch out through the stomach a bit more than you're used to. We got a lot of gunk in there. Eyes forward. 3, 2, and 1. Downward facing dog. As you breathe out, our first dog of the day, freeform movement, is welcome here. You guys know your down dog. So take a gentle, unbiased account of what's going on today. What's tight? What feels good? Gentle eyes, look between the thighs. Very deep bend in the knees, nice long spine. Let's look to the top of the mat. Take a breath in. Exhale, look towards the belly button. Keep that deep bend in the knees. One more time. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, look between the thighs. Let's walk to the top of the mat. You're going to find your forward fold, Uttanasana. Any dizziness in the house, I would just grab a chair or be in front of a couch or strategically in front of a piece of furniture that you can hold on to today, because dizziness is common. And if you're not feeling dizzy, let's let the crown of the head drop all the way down. Imagine it pressing into the floor. Use your imagination. See yourself tapping the top of your head into a grassy surface. But really, good. 3, 2, and 1. Halfway lift. Take a breath in. Ardha Uttanasana. Really tight belly. You're pressing into the hands to lengthen your spine. So each breath in is a new opportunity to lean forward, take a breath, and then unclench your toes as you exhale, forward fold. Arm sweep overhead, extended mountain pose. And hands to heart center, Samastitihi. We work on stretching the belly, arm sweep overhead, back to your mountain pose. As you breathe out, you take your back bend. Less focus on the shoulders and more focus between your hips and your ribs, and then we'll get to the upper body. So arms can be straight overhead. Some like to take a cactus or even a little T-Rex arm. And that's just fine. You're focusing on the abdominals here. Take your stretch. And then notice how you distribute your weight into your feet. Can you roll into the inside arches of your feet a little bit more? Still breathing. Relax your shoulders away from the ears. 3, 2, and 1. Back to center. Hold on to the right wrist. Let's take a side stretch. Keep pressing your right foot into the floor. Look up. Armpit is getting some sunshine. I always say that because you're leaning back, and that visual will help you relax through that part of the pit. We have some tension in there. Let's switch sides. Gentle with the wrist. Hold on to the left side as you exhale, side stretch. Make this active. Make this a challenge, especially if you're feeling a little bored. Be proud of what you've noticed. If you're bored, it's very valid. You need to find a new way to explore the pose. Same poses every day, different experience each time. Back to center, arms overhead. Fold forward, exhale. Halfway lift, breath is in. Let's meet in a high plank pose. I will see you on the hands and toes. We're holding here. Looking down towards the floor. Obviously, one of my furry friends was visiting me on my yoga mat. I can tell which dog. Cheers to observation. Yes, I'm distracting you a little bit. We're still planking, looking great. You're scooping your tailbone down to the floor. Do your best. We're here for 3, 2, and 1. Hinge forward, top of the toes, low plank as you exhale. Upward facing dog. It's our first one of the day, so come on down to the knees and let's look over the shoulder. Where can you unclench? Somewhere in your face, somewhere in your forehead. We're gonna switch sides, nice and easy breezy. I like movement, I like to sway and wiggle. Some yogis like stillness, it's up to you. We're going to meet in downward facing dog as you exhale. Right leg nice and high. Let's take a 3-legged dog, and then you can open up the hip. You can do as you please. Technically, when you open your hip up like this, you are no longer in 3-legged dog. You're in something else. But we come back to 3-legged dog, which means hip closed, foot flexed. Look where you're going. Between the hands we go to low lunge. You're going to take a tiger's-like crouch and go as slow as you can. Just see what you can do, and then adjust as needed. We always have work to do. Low lunge. Look at your left heel. Nice and high. Our first crescent pose of the day on Janayasana. Hips face forward. A very foundational pose. One of my favorites. Let's hold. We're building on. First, drop your hands down to your hips and start to turn or look to the right. That's going to challenge your balance, so work on it. See what you need, because we're going to be taking our twist, and there's lots of ways to do it. I'm going to take a modification with my right hand on the back side of my hip. I have a really low dropped shoulder, lots of space between here and my chin. Left hand reaches forward. Here's my twist. Some of you like to reach your right arm all the way out nice and wide. You're welcome to do that too. Start facing forward. Yes, you're feeling fatigue. Very good. Arm sweep overhead. Take an inhale. Breath out. Take your twist. Left hand reaches forward. Stay on the ball mound of your foot. Look to the right. Off we go. Exalted crescent. That's your left hand nice and high. Your right hand can drop down to your thigh if you can reach it, or you can keep it right where it was on your hip. 3, 2, and 1. Look where you're going. Left hand will drop down to the floor. You're welcome to stay on your fingertips or grab a block. You are worth 4 seconds it takes to grab a block. Hand comes on to the right thigh. You can stay here, pressing into the thigh to look up to take your twist. No rush to get into the full expression. Suck in your stomach, twist a little bit more. Another time, suck in the stomach, twist a little bit more. Now try to bring your palm down to the floor. Let's take our twist, left hand nice and high. Check your knee. This is also a great way to check your balance. You're hugging the right knee in. How's your back foot doing? Full expression, look up. 3, 2, and 1. Hand down to the floor from your low lunge. Step the right foot back. Breathe in. Low plank as you exhale. Chaturanga, upward facing dog. Take a breath in. And downward facing dog as you exhale. Left leg nice and high, 3-legged dog. And then open the hip. I like a big bend in my knees. And my eyes like to look up and around that left armpit. Try looking around. Stretch the neck. Close the hip, 3-legged dog, inhale. And then left leg will step through between the hands. You'll find your low lunge. How's the back heel? Take a peek at it. And off we go. We meet in our crescent pose. I'll see you there. We spent a bit of time here, so let's mimic that. Go ahead and align your hips. Happy to be here. Really soft forehead, arms overhead. Anjaneyasana. We get ready for our twist. Drop your left hand down to the hip if you're taking the hip variation. Right hand reaches out in front of you. You will start to look behind you. Doing great, yogis. Still breathing. Get ready for your exalted crescent. First, look where you're going. Look up towards the ceiling. You'll bring that right hand nice and high. The left hand can drop down to your thigh. And if you're able to, look down at your knee. Check on it. How's it doing? 3, 2, and 1. Bring your right hand down to the floor. I like staying on my fingertips here. Then we do the belly work. Maybe you can see me better on this side. You're sucking in the stomach. Take your turn. This is so good for your digestive system. Suck in your stomach. Turn more. Bottom of the breath out. Breathe out. Twist a little more. Not using force, just using the breath. Left hand nice and high. You should be able to fully breathe while doing this. If not, ease out of the pose. Keep hugging the left knee in. 3, 2, and 1. Hand down to the floor. Step back into your plank. Let's flow. Inhale. Low plank. Exhale. Upward dog. Take your breath in. And downward facing dog as you exhale. Widen the knees. I'll meet you in child's pose. Forehead down to the floor. Few more rounds of breath in child's pose. Keep working on finding a child's pose that you like. Sometimes it can be a pose of restlessness if you're feeling tight. That's okay. It's part of the journey. We do our best. I'll meet you in a tabletop-like pose, but if you need a counter stretch, let's take it. Dip your hips down to the floor, light and easy. Then I'll see you in your tabletops. Off we go. Go ahead and extend your left leg out nice and long. Foot is nice and flexed. Take your left foot, drape it over to your right corner of the mat and hold. Feel that lovely stretch. I know it feels like all your weight is in your right hand. Not yet. Keep leaning into the left too to feel that full stretch. And then we build on. So the right hand will stay on the floor. Crawl your left hand forward. Start here. This might be plenty of work for you. Building on, take your hand, crawl it to the left corner of the mat. We're making a lovely C shape. Any bend in your elbow is just fine. I have taken this pose down on the elbows before. If you have tender wrists, that's a good way to modify too. Don't overthink it, it's just yoga. Crawl your hand back to where it belongs and left leg nice and long. You'll take a breath in. Tiger's pose, knee to nose, exhale. Re-extend the leg, breathe in. Knee down to the floor, let's breathe out and we'll switch sides. So right leg out nice and long. Let's take a breath in. As you exhale, leg crosses over to the left. Start here, enjoy the stretch. So lovely. We are in no rush to get our yoga over with. Left hand stays on the floor, right hand will crawl forward and eventually up and over to the left corner of the mat. Enjoy this lovely graceful stretch. Do what you can. Mimic the same depth on this side. We strive for symmetry. Crawl the right hand forward first and then back the way it came. Right leg nice and long and take a breath in. Tiger's pose, knee to nose. Exhale. Re-extend, breathe in. Knee down to the floor. Exhale. High plank, breathe in. Low plank, exhale. Upward facing dog, breath is in. And downward facing dog as you exhale. Right leg nice and high, three-legged dog. Low lunge, step the leg through. Crescent pose, arms sweep overhead, Anjaneyasana. Add in a back bend as you exhale. Back to center, breathe in. Take your twist, left hand leads, right hand behind you. Exalted crescent, left hand nice and high. Left hand down to the floor, prepare for your twist on the inhale. Right hand nice and high. Breath out, hand down to the floor, let's flow. Leg steps back, high plank. Low plank as you exhale. Upward facing dog, take your breath in. And downward facing dog as you exhale. Left leg nice and high, three-legged dog. Low lunge, step it through. Crescent pose, Anjaneyasana. Add in your back bend as you exhale. Happy to be here, crescent pose. Take your twist, left hand drops, high yogis. Breath in, right hand nice and high. Exhale, right hand down to the floor. Take your twist, left hand high, look up. Eyes down, look where you're going, let's flow. High plank, breathe in. Low plank, exhale. Upward facing dog, breathe in. Downward facing dog, breathe out. Great work, yogis. 2 rounds of breath, down dog. Let's go ahead and walk into a forward fold, any which way. Slowly roll yourself on up to standing. I do believe we have reached a little intermission. Let's go ahead and take a sip of water. Any freeform movement that you want to take. I will do the same. I tell you it's a water break, but it might be a coffee break. So. Before we take our balancing poses, standing, I think we'll open up our hips a little bit more. Let's come down to the floor, and you can start in Sukhasana to meet yourself where I'm at. And we'll sway side to side. We'll get moving. We'll reflect back on our intention for our practice. It's important to recall what the theme is. It keeps us on track, and it also helps us think of new ways to see the correlation between friendship and yoga. When you have a true best friend that you haven't seen in 3 years in person, you talk on the phone and text from time to time, but you finally get to see one another, you're reunited, and you're up all night talking and eating and sharing meals and swapping stories and cheersing one another, and it feels like such a rejuvenating breath of fresh air. You sleep better, your faith in humanity has been restored, and you remind yourself that that person was there all along, and it only took a matter of reaching out or interaction to change the game. And many of you know, if you go on a trip to visit your best friend, you'll come home like a vacation, just absolutely renewed and in love. And yoga truly feels the same way for me, and I hope that it feels the same way for you too. This is something that you can turn to just like a best friend, and it will completely respect your boundaries. It's the very best of best friends. It's going to hold you gently. It's going to hold you accountable too. Discipline breeds freedom. So let's get to it. You're going to keep your left leg on the floor and start with the baby cradle with your right leg. How you do that is up to you. Gentle with the leg. Other things to do while you're doing this, you can check on your calves and compare which one's tighter than the other. We have been driving less, which means less of a asymmetry going on, but what'll happen is all of us are going to start driving again eventually, and you're going to be really sore perhaps on your right leg. So now's a good time to see how you're feeling with maybe less driving, maybe a little less high heel wearing. Let's hold on to your right toe, right foot, and extend your leg out as long as you can, and just hang out sitting here. If this is too tedious for you, just bend at your knee, hold on to the bottom of your thigh, and you can play. I've got a strap here. You could also grab one of those. Having fun. Release the leg. We're going to switch sides. Right leg down to the floor, left leg into your baby cradle. Hold on gently, and let's sway. Let's relax the face. Any differences that are worth noting on this side? Grab onto your left toes. As promised, dirty yoga teacher feet. I'm always good for it. Left leg nice and long. You're not dumping all of the weight into your left arm or shoulder. If you're not sure, give your toe a pull so that your shoulder feels locked and loaded in instead of pulled and extended away from you. 3, 2, and 1. Release your foot on down to the floor. Let's take a quick counter stretch. Keep your knees on the floor and just crawl yourself forward. Dip your hips down to the mat. Nice and gentle. I'll meet you back on the floor. A few more. Getting your right knee down to the mat, your left knee on top. We're meeting in cow-faced pose. If you need to modify, just separate the legs into a crisscross position, left leg on top. Sit up tall, lean back. As you exhale, chin rounds, look down at the floor. 3, 2, and 1. Release the pose, you'll look up tall, and release the legs. Some like to forward fold in between, you're welcome to do so. Some like to widen through the legs, and then off we go to switch sides. Your left leg will stack on top of your right. Both cheeks are on the floor. Be gentle. Be sure that the ankles feel all right. If it feels like you're dumping your weight into them, lean back a bit more. Inhale, lean back a bit more. Exhale, chin rounds in towards the chest. We hold. The pose, just like that, legs out nice and long. Take a breath in, gentle fold forward as you breathe out. We're going to come up to standing. If you would like a flow, let's take it onto your high plank as you breathe in. Low plank as you exhale. Upward facing dog, breathe in. Downward facing dog, breathe out. Step or hop to the top of your mat. As you exhale, forward fold. Halfway lift, breathe in. Fold forward. Exhale. Arms sweep overhead, take a breath in. Hands relax by the sides, breath out. Baby dancer, hold on to your right foot and be gentle and kind when you're reaching for that foot. I know for me, it's pretty far away. So if you're bending at the knee and the shoulders like I was, just be sure that you feel okay when you're doing it, and then press your hips forward. You're not causing yourself pain to get into the pose. Left hand nice and high. Baby dancer. 3, 2, and 1. Breathe out, dip forward, extend your dancer just a bit more. We'll have another opportunity for your full expression, so just see what's going on. Kick the leg back, navel points forward. So drop that right hip down. We'll come out of the pose. You'll release your right leg, you'll kick it out in front of you. You'll bring your hands onto your hips. You'll tuck your chin in towards the chest, look down at the right toe, and hold. 3, 2, and 1. Foot down to the floor. We're about to switch sides. Take any wiggles you might need. Hula hoops. And we will hold on to the left leg. Knee down to the floor. Proud to be here. Right hand nice and high. Baby dancer. Foot is nice and sealed onto the floor. You know what to do. We're going just a bit deeper. So exhales to drop, and no need to find that full expression. Just do what you can, especially if your balance is your priority in this pose. No two dancers are the same. Don't we know it? 3, 2, and 1. Release your foot on down and swing it forward. Left leg nice and long. Flex the toes towards your face. Hold on to the hips. 5, 4, 3. Kick a bit higher. 2, and 1. Foot down to the floor. Shake it out. We get ready to flow. I'm going to point this way. If you have a pothos in the way, just embrace what surrounds you. And we are so used to close quarters when we're practicing in a small studio, right? So if you need to swim your arms together, keep the palms pressed together to touch. Inhale, arms sweep overhead. Back bend, breathe out. Back to center, breathe in, fold forward, exhale. Halfway lift, breathe in. Plant the palms, high to low plank, exhale. Upward facing dog, breathe in. And downward facing dog, exhale. Right leg nice and high, breathe in. Low lunge, step it through. Crescent pose, arms overhead. Back bend, exhale. Rise, crescent pose. Twist, left hand leads. Exalted crescent, left hand high. Left hand down to the floor, take your twist. Right hand nice and high. Listen up. Hand will drop down to the floor. As you inhale, back to your crescent pose. Arms will sweep overhead. Go ahead and burst open to your star pose. Back bend as you exhale. Back to center, we rise. Turn to the left leg right away. Cartwheel down to the mat. Let's flow. Left leg nice and high. Find your plank. Low plank. Exhale. Upward facing dog. Breath is in. And downward facing dog. As you exhale. Left leg nice and high. Breathe in. Low lunge. Step it through. Crescent pose, arms overhead, great breath, yogis, back bend, exhale. Back to center, prepare to twist, left hand drops, high, smile, it's just yoga, arms overhead. Let's take that exalted crescent, hold on to the back of the thigh, right hand will lift. Right hand down to the floor, do your best, inhale, left hand high. Exhale, hand down to the floor. Listen up, yogis. Inhale, arms sweep overhead. Crescent pose. Stars, burst open. Back bend. Exhale. Back to your stars. Breathe in. Cartwheel down to the right foot. Let's flow. High plank. Breathe in. Low plank. Exhale. Upward dog, breathe in, and downward facing dog as you exhale. Right leg high, breathe in. Low lunge, step through. You know this, yogis, arms overhead. Back bend, exhale. Back to center, breathe in. Take your twist, breathe out. Arms overhead, breathe in. Let's spice it up. We're ready to hop forward. Bring your hands onto your hips. Kick your left leg in front of you. And start with a flexed foot. Look down towards the toe. Nice tight belly. Start with your baby dancer. Hold on to the left ankle. Right hand comes nice and high. 3, 2, and 1. Full expression. As you relax through the toes, through the neck, nice soft eyes. I'm working on almost closed eyes here, so choose what your challenge is going to be today. Back the way we came. Bring your hands onto your hips, kick your left leg forward. Step it back, find your crescent pose. Arms will sweep overhead, breathe in. Back bend, exhale. Back to center, breathe in. And hands down to the mat, let's flow. High plank, breathe in. Low plank, exhale. Upward dog, breathe in. Downward dog, exhale. Left leg high, breathe in. Low lunge, step through. Crescent pose, arms overhead. Back bend, exhale. Back to center, crescents. Left hand drops, twist. Back to center, breathe in. Hands onto the hips, right foot kicks forward, flex the toe. 3, 2, and 1. Bend at the knee, reach for your ankle. Left hand will come nice and high, doing great. Press the hips forward by scooping the tailbone. We have a dancer's pose to take. Right hand comes nice and high as you kick that right foot back. Your hand is not doing all the work. Back the way you came, right foot kicks forward, hover and hold. 3, 2, and 1. Crescent pose, step it back, arms sweep overhead. Breathe in, back bend, exhale. Back to center, we rise. Hands down to the floor, let's flow. High plank, breathe in. Low plank, exhale. Upward dog, breathe in. Down dog, exhale. Right leg high, breathe in. Wind removing pose on the floor. It looks a lot like pigeon, except you are not taking a full pigeon leg, although you're welcome to. And you're gonna bring your heel to your backside, just like you're hugging your knee in towards the chest, kind of like tiger's pose, knee to nose. You'll drop on down to the forearms. Your left leg is untucked, and you're gonna crawl that left leg as far back as you can. Look down at the floor. Let's hold. Doing great, yogis. Unwind, slow down. Let's come out of the pose. Onto the hands, tuck the back toes, re-extend, right leg nice and high. 3-legged dog. Leg down to the floor, breathe out. Left leg nice and high, breathe in. Tiger's pose, knee to nose. Drop on down to that wind removing pose. Your back toe will untuck. Situate yourself. Long, lovely bellies. As you exhale, you'll lower yourself on down. Slow down your breath, slow down your practice. Three, 2, and 1. Onto your hands. Let's come out of the pose. You know what to do. Left leg re-extends. 3-legged dog. Foot down to the floor. Down dogs. Breathe out. Let's arrive onto the floor. Bend at your knees. Go ahead and stick your legs out in front of you. A well-deserved journey towards the floor. We arrive onto the mat. You'll keep your feet suction cupped to the floor as long as you can as you start to roll on down. I always want to rush this. Who doesn't? Not today. A little bit longer. A little bit longer. 3, 2, and 1. Release yourself down onto the floor. Let's take that wind removing pose now on our spine. Right leg comes in towards the chest. Take your squeeze. And then we'll take a tree pose on the floor. Bring the sole of your foot onto the side of the thigh and really let that hip hang open. Enjoy. Arms will branch out. Let your branches grow and press into your head. Lift your shoulders off the mat. Splay yourself out. Happy starfishes. A lovely way to take tree pose. We have a few more things to do here. Enjoy the in-between. Twist your knee to center and straight away supine twist as you exhale. Knee over to the left side of the mat. My priority is to keep both shoulders on the floor, so if your knee is hovering and it's uncomfortable, just grab a bolster or a block or something to stick underneath your knee. But if you're feeling fine, free hanging, just keep the back of your hands on the floor. Twist back to center, take a breath in, and exhales to switch sides. Left leg comes in towards the chest. Start with your wind removing pose. Give yourself a squeeze. If you need any movement between those poses, sometimes I do. And then we will burst into our tree pose. So left sole of the foot on the floor. Let's stay here the same amount of time. This time you'll pick up your head, chin in towards the chest, reset your head down, arms nice and wide. You can stay here for up to 2 minutes if you love this series. If it's good for your low back, then I would stay on the floor for about 2 minutes here, and then bring your knee back into your chest. I would say for about 10 seconds, a little bit longer, and then exhale, supine twist. Three, 2, and 1. Back to center we go. Very, very slow. Dead bug pose. Lift your legs, lift your hands, keep your shoulders on the back of the mat. You're holding on to a very large steering wheel of life. Maybe we're going on a fun road trip with our best friend. We're going to hang out here, keep everything lifted. Your low back should be on the floor. So yes, you should start to feel this in your abs because you're scooping your tailbone, you're suction cupping your low back to the floor. Then we're going to hug into a tight ball. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Dead bug pose. Head down to the floor. Lift the legs, lift the arms. Your left leg will not touch the floor. Bring your right leg in towards the chest, left leg nice and long. Let that leg hover, hug in. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Dead bug pose. Lift everything off of the mat. Left leg, hug it in towards the chest, right leg out nice and long. We hover here. 5, 4, 3, lift higher, squeeze tighter, and 1. Dead bug pose. Lift everything off of the mat. Great work, my yogi friends. Give yourself a tight squeeze. Try to wrap the forearms around the shins. Apanasana. Thank yourself for your practice today. Sway side to side. We humbly burst open to our very well-deserved Shavasana. Extend your legs out nice and long. Arms go where you please. Open mouth. return to consciousness. Full body stretch, extend the legs out long, sweep the arms overhead. Good morning. Breathe in. Breath out, hug yourself into a tight squeeze. We'll take the right side of the mat today. Find your fetal pose. Guide yourself into a seat, Sukhasana. Find stillness. Take your time. Let's enjoy a moment here. Let your sacred Shavasana run through you. Feel the chills. Breathe in. Let it flow. Head to toe. Open mouth. We are so grateful for this life-giving practice. Thank you for joining me today. Will you bring your hands to heart center and lightly press your thumbs into the sternum as you remind yourself that yoga is your friend. A loyal, dedicated companion that puts in as much as you do and that will always be there like no time has passed. A lifelong friend. We are grateful for this practice. Hands up to the forehead, breathe in. Bow on the exhale. Namaste. Namaste, yogis. Thanks for joining me. And without further ado, we got a new puppy, and she's about a year old. Her name is Dahlia, and she's in the other room, so patiently waiting for me to do this video. So I'm gonna open the door so you can meet her, and then we'll turn off the video. So let's get her. Let's get the little lady. You wanna come out here, Amy? You wanna come out here? Come on out. Oh, you wanna say hi to the yogis? Yeah? You wanna say hi? Yeah? You're not in trouble. That was her first time being in the room while I did yoga. I did try filming with her. It lasted 4 minutes, so you can sit. Yeah. Oh, good girl. She's so sweet. She gets to meet Pinecone today. She's a very sweet girl. She's a German Shepherd Lab mix, and I am just in love. And you did great. I think in the future she'll lay in front of the mat while I'm doing yoga, no problem. But right now everything is very exciting, and so sometimes I put them away when I'm doing yoga. So anyway, have a good day, guys. Let's go turn off the video. Yeah?